I think that's exactly the problem. The promises. We are not promising you a rose garden.
I withdraw that statement a moment ago.
I know. But what we are trying, no, but it's not you. It is what's happening on the stage, on the political stage. They are promising people a rose garden that's not there. This country is in a serious state of disrepair presently. Financially, we walk around and say we got money. We don't. We do not have. Oh, we got 60 million to go build 40 roads. That's a joke. Because that 60 million is a loan. Just like the 145 million that we got for payroll support that the minister went and put as income on budget 2021. And now CFT tells him, take it off. You are sending the wrong message. That's not the real picture.
It's the first time I'm hearing this.
Well, it was in the papers. Nobody picked it up. Nobody picked up on these things. The General Audit Chamber and CFT told the Minister of Finance, why did you create a situation that's not true? It's very simple. We had a debt of about 280 plus million. If you could remember, 260, 270, something around there, I think. I might be off on a few tens of millions. But we were way over the 170 something million that the Council of Ministers of the Netherlands said, if you have this deficit, I will allow you to go over to 2022. So when the year accounts were made, they were 200 and something million, they had to go down. So what they did is they took the supplement money they got, the liquidity support they got, and they put it as income in the budget. But it's not an income, it's a loan. You got to pay it back. So your end number could never be 90 something million. It is the 90 something million plus that 145. Things went wrong there. They did this, things went wrong. And this is the picture we got to be careful with, because we are saying things that are not true. This is the problem. People are sometimes afraid to talk about things. Look, I think the Minister of Finance has good intentions, but he's going about it the wrong way. And when you go about something the wrong way, you mostly end up on the wrong side of the track. And this government has done this too consistent. And every time you listen to them, and I think the Prime Minister took the lead when she started off in the debate about everything that was brought up. Oh, it's in the pipeline. Oh, it's in the pipeline. Then the pipeline must be blocked. Then get yourself a gallon of Drano and go and open it. But nothing is coming out. Education is in a state of disrepair. And she was an educator, and she stood by for the past 4 years and allowed the Minister of Education to destroy the education sector. He didn't fix it. He did not fix it. If he did, we wouldn't be talking about it the way we are. It is one of the topics that we touch the most. A lot of parties listen to their rallies, listen to their Facebooks, listen to their interviews. They always come back to education as a starting point. The hospital, the airport, those are institutions. But education, that's a different story. That's a ministry, that's an entity that the government controls. Yes, you don't hear Learning Unlimited, CIA and all them balling, but you hear our local schools balling. It tells you something. The teachers are not happy. This one is not coming across. Schools are not repaired. We are 7 years further. And we now happy that, for example, the departure hall open. Oh, what a big thing. We are 7 years further. We got people standing in the hot sun every day when they land. So we got to be careful with the message we're sending, because those around us are smiling in the state of disrepair we are in, because they are now getting a chance to jump ahead. Angola's jumping ahead. St. Kitts is jumping ahead. Antigua's jumping ahead. But we are not. And we can then lose a hub function that we have held for 20, 30 years. That's why when you hear them now talking about pre-clearance, the pre-clearance creates the hub function again. Because you're not going to be stopped in Miami and said, we're going to deport you back home. You might be stopped in St. Martin. Because here you're coming to pre-clear to go to America. So you're opening the hub for a lot of Caribbean people and South America people to go through. Because pre-clearance doesn't exist all over the world. It's a handful of locations, and St. Martin was offered that option.
Yes, John, it's election day. Your first election, no need to worry. Today, I will show you the proper steps on how to vote. Don't forget to walk with a valid form of identification and your voting card. When you get to the front of the line, hand the chairperson your ID and voting card. John, you can only use the red pencil attached to the voting booth. John, you can only vote for one person. Let the chairperson know you made a mistake. They will hand you another ballot. You have one last chance. Remember, you can only use the red pencil, color the full circle, vote for one candidate, and don't write or draw on the ballot. Important information. Election day is on the 11th of January. Voting stations are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Selling your vote is a crime. Voting is a fundamental democratic right and a crucial civic duty that ensures representation, accountability, participation, and progress within a society. Step into the voting booth and cast your vote. When you are done, place the ballot in the bin.
Social and health insurances. Your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
As it is for me, my year is coming to an end on February 10th, whenever it will be, when the new parliament will be sworn in. There will be 15 new members, and I will not be part of it. Several members will be returning, I would hope, and I just want to take use of this opportunity. But, Mr. Chairman, as we are here discussing, there are two issues I want to raise. I agree that the central bank should step up to the plate and get more involved in the protection of our people where banking is concerned. The banks are unanimously unceremoniously at times implementing certain fees. We have seniors who have a little savings account and they have not been depositing for a while for whatever the reason may be. But there are banks that say if your balance drops below X amount of money, then they withdraw exorbitant fees like 35, 50 guilders or whatever it is, service charges for having a bank account that there isn't constant deposits and withdrawals on it. So when these people now think that they have 5, 6, 700 guilders on their little savings account, which for them is a humongous amount of money, then they find out their bank account was actually sort of liquidated. Because if you keep withdrawing 35 guilders or 55, I don't even know the amount of money. But if the banks keep withdrawing, then at a given moment, there is nothing left. Mr. Chairman, I have had an unpleasant experience. We know we are PEPs, politically exposed persons. My daughter in Holland had to do a transaction and had to fill out a whole bundle of forms because she's a PEP. My son had accounts that were closed because he is a PEP. And I went to the bank some time back, it's more than a year ago, to open a second account at a bank where I already had an account. And the lady who helped me was very pleasant, and we had a nice discussion. She even gave me, up till this day, I have it in my pocket, in my pocketbook. She gave me the number of my account and told me, Mr. Marlin, next week you will get your card. It will take a week before everything is finalized. And she said, but in advance, this will be your account number, 813005 or something, but it doesn't really matter. And then she said, by the way, you're a PEP, right? I say, yes. She said, well, you have to fill out these forms. And she gave me the forms, and I started filling out the top of the form. And she said, I don't mind you spending additional time in my office, but you can't fill out all of this information anyhow. So we can continue chatting, but you can't fill it out here because there is information that you would need. And to my surprise, to open a basic account, it was no business account, to open a basic account, I was told, because I'm a PEP, I need to submit all information on all my movable and immovable goods, cars that my wife and I own, the value of those cars. I need to bring an updated appraisal of my home. I need to bring the whole neighborhood and my grandparents in order to open this account. And I jokingly said, well, you know what? I will save you the time of having to shred them since I already started filling it out, and I will assist. And I manually shredded them and tell her, no personal offense to you. You're doing your job, but this is ridiculous. Because here we pass legislation on the MUT. Here we pass legislation on all kinds of things. And the banks, it's not a favor they will do, or they need to look the other way. The banks have to monitor all unusual transactions. You submit it to the MUT, and the MUT have to submit it, if they feel there is something wrong, to the public prosecutor. And they have to do their job. The bank doesn't have to decide who should or who shouldn't. Because if I have an account and the only deposits to that account is my salary, then, and my pension, then that's all. The minute the bank sees a deposit, whether it's from here or overseas, and particularly if it's about, let's say, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, hey, that's a red flag. And you can call me in and say, Mr. Marlin, there's a transfer of $20,000, $30,000. Can you explain this? I would say, yes, my grandfather died in Japan three weeks ago, and because of the settlement of the estate, here are the documents, and my share of it is $300,000, but this is an initial deposit. If the bank doesn't believe me, they're allowed to submit it to the MUT, and the MUT does their investigation, and if that is not satisfactory, so that is how the system was made to operate. Now, I understand, yes, most of our banks are Canadian banks. St. Martin is a very small jurisdiction in their whole global setup, and they are afraid of being fingered for money laundering and this kind of thing and trafficking So they don't want to spend too much money and too much time on a couple of accounts in a very small jurisdiction. We are smaller than any little village in Canada. So I can imagine from that bigger perspective. But then our central bank needs to set up, warn us timely and say, well, hey guys, St. Martin, Curacao, you guys better move to opening your own banks and ensure that we can protect our people better and better than they are protected right now.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Yes, John, it's election day. Your first election, no need to worry. Today, I will show you the proper steps on how to vote. Don't forget to walk with a valid form of identification and your voting card. When you get to the front of the line, hand the chairperson your ID and voting card. John, you can only use the red pencil attached to the voting booth. John, you can only vote for one person. Let the chairperson know you made a mistake. They will hand you another ballot. You have one last chance. Remember, you can only use the red pencil, color the full circle, vote for one candidate, and don't write or draw on the ballot. Important information. Election Day is on the 11th of January. Voting stations are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Selling your vote is a crime. Voting is a fundamental democratic right and a crucial civic duty that ensures representation, accountability, participation, and progress within a society. Step into the voting booth and cast your vote. When you are done, place the ballot in the bin.
It's time for a new brand that is as bold, vibrant, and colorful as the island of St. Martin, with colors drawn from our diversity, cultural heritage, and nature. Our breathtaking beaches, waters, and sun, the majestic brown pelican, our national symbol, the radiant yellow sage, our national flower, the historic border monument signifying the Dutch and French sides, our exciting cruise, yachting, and boating ports, renowned Maho Beach and St. Martin Airport, the hub to the Caribbean. All these parts come together to create the shape of the island of St. Martin. More than a logo. It's a new brand that engages, excites, and will inspire travelers to book. It's time to tell the St. Martin story, to reintroduce travelers to St. Martin, to honor our past, to embrace our present, and shape our future. Our culture and diversity. Dutch and French sides, unrivaled cuisine, twice the nightlife, entertainment, and shopping. Cruises, boating, and yachting. Twice the adventure, exploration, and relaxation. Splendid and scenic accommodations. Pinel, Tentamar, and island hopping in the Caribbean. Whatever your taste, St. Martin has more. Experience twice the Caribbean. St. Martin.
President of Barbados, the Most Honorable Dame Sandra Mason, senior officers, and past and present cadets, along with relatives, were among the attendees at the 120th anniversary service of the Barbados Cadet Corps. Captain Reverend Dr. Alicia Aline, in her sermon, reminded those at the helm to remember God as they chart a course for the future of the Corps.
As a leader, the decisions you make may not make sense to the followers, but do it for the benefit of all. So when victory and a season of rejoicing comes, we all rejoice together. To the leaders of the Barbados Cadet Corps, it's time to move to the next level, trusting in God. He knows the plan for 2024 and beyond, but you have to journey with Him. You may have to make some bold decisions and wait, but in all you do, focus on Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 7. Trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Captain Aline also has some words of advice for the youth who serve at different ranks in the organization.
Young people, see yourself as God sees you. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Don't let people's words speak louder than God's words. Always remember, you had a purpose before anyone had an opinion. Young people, for the next level, you need to be connected to God. He reinforces who you are.
And in his remarks, Commander David Dowridge highlighted the rich history of the Corps and its contribution to Barbados and the region.
I am boasting that I am a product of the Barbados Cadet Corps. I am boasting that this organization is the oldest of its type in Barbados. I am boasting that it's the oldest of its type in the Caribbean. I am boasting that the Barbados brand is the brand that the entire Caribbean Cadet Association look to for guidance and for leadership. I am boasting that we have trained most of the leaders and cadets throughout the Caribbean.
The Barbados Cadet Corps started in 1904 as a male organization, but in 1978 it accepted its first female recruits. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
The first American space mission for more than half a century, aimed at making a landing on the moon, has run into an early technical hitch. The Peregrine 1 robot lander was launched earlier today, but it's been unable to point its solar panels at the sun. The company behind the project, Astrobotic, says it's trying to fix the problem, but if it can't, the mission won't be able to proceed. Well, we can go live now to our science correspondent, Jonathan Amos, who's in the newsroom for us. Jonathan, you've covered many of these kind of things over the years. Just bring us up to date on what exactly this particular snag is.
Well, we had a picture-perfect launch early this morning. The Peregrine craft on the top of the new Vulcan rocket left Cape Canaveral in Florida. Everything seemed absolutely perfect. And then about 7 hours after liftoff, we got a statement from Astrobotics, this private exploration company in Pittsburgh in the United States, saying that their spacecraft had experienced an anomaly of some kind. That's what they use, the word that they use when something is not quite right. The spacecraft, they were going through the standard checkouts that you do on a spacecraft when it comes off the top of the rocket. You go through its systems, you power everything up, you check the data to see that it's all working properly. And one of the things the spacecraft has to do, one of the first things it has to do, is to point its solar panels at the sun. That's how you maintain power. Without power, you don't have a mission. It's got to keep its batteries topped up. And unfortunately, the spacecraft, as Astrobotic have said, has not been able to point at the sun stably. Now, quite what that means, it's not clear from the statement. It could mean that it's doing it some of the time, but then is losing track of where the sun is in the sky. So, it may be topping up its batteries a bit, and then it's losing track of the sun, and then the batteries are starting to discharge. So their engineers are working on it at the moment, and they will have rehearsed many times scenarios just like this. They will have a fault tree that they will be going through, trying to sort it out. So, by no means is this mission over yet. They will be working their way through what they think is wrong with it. And it should be said also that spacecraft have a fair degree of autonomy. So the spacecraft itself will recognize that it's not doing what it is supposed to do, and then it will prioritize its systems. So it will prioritize power, maintenance, obviously, and it will also prioritize communication to Earth.
Jonathan,
and it doing that, and the engineers doing what they're doing, hopefully they'll be able to recover the situation.
Jonathan, how typical is it for this kind of mission to get its power from solar panels? Briefly, I mean, is this something that's the first time?
No, this is standard operating procedure. They all go with solar panels. Very, very few spacecraft go with nuclear batteries, radioisotopes that decay, produce heat, and from that you generate electricity. The vast majority of space missions will use solar panels. It's free energy.
Okay, well, it's hoping that they manage to get it all working, Jonathan, and hopefully you can bring us the update when it's back on track.